It is time to begin. Guests and members, join in. To all of you who joined the meeting, we extend our warmest greeting. Every month we meet on Fridays, just the first and the third. We prepare inspiring speeches and enjoy the spoken word. After every presentation, we provide evaluation with the best intent, just to help our members grow. Dear guests, please be prepared. You may also be called on. Everybody should contribute to Table Topics Marathon. Whether you're a guest or member, we will ask you to remember your cell phones should be muted and the ether not polluted with the sounds of tasty pets. And there is one more request. Your unnecessary actions can be looked at as distractions. Let them stay behind the scene. For a while, turn off the screen. But as soon as you are done, turn the camera back on. We would like to see your faces. Has everybody taken places? Our president, Sandra, charming, humorous, and more, cannot wait to take the floor.
Thank you, Tamra. I love that. I absolutely love your openings. And I am so pleased with the topic that our Toastmaster of the day today chose, which is National Authors Day. Is there anybody amongst us who has written and published a book? I know Michael, Sheila. Anyone else? Quite a few. So this is a day that is near and dear to all of us. All of the blood, sweat, and tears it takes to be an author, but to bring creativity and inspiration into our lives. So at this time, that would be what I wanted to say about our theme. Do we have any guests today? Gail, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
It is so early for that, honestly. And I have coffee. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. I love the introduction as well, Tamara. It was very classy.
Thank you.
I've been a Toastmaster for forever, and I'm still fishing around for a good club. I'm a member of Century City and a member of a club in District 71. So I'm still sort of looking for a permanent home. So I thought I'd try this out. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we have someone back with us that we haven't seen for a while. Pamela, how are you doing? And what have you been up to?
Hi, everybody. It's good to be back. I'm doing well. What have I been up to? Well, I've had to deal with getting my children and finding a special school for them. They both have learning differences, and we've had a lot of challenge in the public school. And it took, unfortunately, applying to 3 different schools and not getting in to realize how, not to get on a soapbox, but how poorly some of the schools are run out here and how they're taught for people in a certain cookie cutter way. But the good news, I got them into the most amazing school that teaches them exactly how they need to, and they're thriving already in just 2 months. So that's what I've been up to, pretty much my focus, and I'm just happy to get back to seeing you guys.
Well, wait a second, don't go. You've been having a little bit of fun.
Well, we always have fun on top of it, right?
Husband is also an author, and she's been on book tour with him.
Yes, my husband has written 4 books, and the last book that he wrote is Shelley, which is amazing. And it's basically, when we were dating, he sent me a script, and I didn't even like science fiction, but I liked it so much that I was like, hey, this guy's pretty talented. And 13 or 14 years later, he turned it into a book, because he realized that scripts can sit on shelves, but books can live and people are picking them up. So yes, I've been marketing, and we do a lot of Comic-Cons and stuff like that. So this is apropos day for us, that's for sure.
Awesome. And welcome, Mary. We haven't seen you for a while.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here, and I look forward to an exciting meeting today, getting back into the swing of things due to recent illness and also some, unfortunately, death in the family.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Well, at this time, I'm going to turn our meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day. Let's welcome Jessper.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Today is November 1st, National Authors Day. And as Sandra mentioned, we do have authors in the room. I saw a hand from Sandra, Michael, Sheila, Gail, Vicky. Are we missing anyone else? Any other authors in the room? I think we've covered everyone so far, but today we celebrate you. And as we hear an introduction from everyone as we go through the functionaries and our members and guests, I'd like to know, first off, if you are an author, the question I have for you is, what inspired you to become one? And if you are not an author yet, I'd like to know, if you were to write a book, what would that story be about? So let's turn it over to our functionary roles. First off, we have our Zoom master, Vicky.
Thank you. Would you like me to talk about my book right now?
Yes.
I've actually got two, so maybe I'll do the other one when I have my other role. So this is my book, Dead Rita's Wisdom, available to you on Amazon. And it was obviously inspired by my mother, Rita. Title-wise, maybe not so good, but after she died in 1998, people would ask me, how's your mom? And she went through a long process of cancer. And I would say she's in remission, she's in chemo, she's in final stages. And then people would say, how's your mom? And I'd say, dead. And they'd be shocked. And I know it was shocking, but it was shocking for me as well. And then John, who'd heard about my mother, like up to here, would like hit me on the arm and go, your mother's dead? Like, you know, being funny. And I'd say, you didn't hear about Dead Rita? So she became affectionately known as Dead Rita. So the inspiration for my book was my mother and the wisdom that she shared. And it's been shared around the world. And I hear from people that it is lasting and it makes a difference. Oh, Zoom Master. So I'm in charge of keeping you guys all on mute and making sure that we move people around if we need to. So that's my role. Thanks, Jessper.
Thank you, Vicky. Next, we turn it over to our general evaluator, Rosie Flaherty.
Hi, everyone. I'm your general evaluator today, and I haven't written any books yet, but I always want to have one book in my life that I want to write about. I'm very passionate about helping students, helping young generations to become CPAs. I have a podcast, I have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to write blog about it. And my goal is try to, maybe one day, I will write a book about how to navigate CPA careers to help students and help young generation and support them in this profession. But for my role, I'm going to just tell how awesome everyone is, how great our meeting is, and how fun we are going to have for the meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Excellent topic for a book. Next, we return back to Vicky as grammarian.
My word of the day as grammarian is resilience. I'm going to put it in the chat. And it is, I put in some synonyms: flexible, pliable, supple. And it is about the strength of character and adaptability. So used in a sentence, she showed resilience in the face of adversity. My second book, well, I've got 3 books. I've got 2 written and I'm working on a 3rd. So when I got married in 1981, I was what's called a trophy wife. I was younger, I was blonde. And now after 43 years, I am a bowling trophy wife. So I am writing a new book called Bowling Trophy Wife. And I've got this great glass bowling trophy. I just love this.
sort of a humorous thing that I made up. And it's all about how to be in a healthy relationship and how to navigate all the things that come with second marriages, stepchildren, communication, intimacy, conflict, a typical day in a healthy marriage. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
That sounds like a fun book. Thank you, Vicky. And next, we turn it over to our timer, Ray Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So book-wise, I haven't written anything. What would I like to write? Probably something of personal experience, something motivational, resilience, tenacity, all of those type of subjects. But if I was going to write a story, I mean, who wouldn't aspire to write something like The Alchemist? A short story, 100 pages, something that takes you on a journey, the Joseph Campbell hero's journey story. That would really inspire me. Maybe there's one in there, maybe it's willing to come out at some point. But really, I want to give you another perspective on the timer role today. So have a think about this. Time doesn't exist. Clocks exist. Time is just an agreed upon construct. We've taken distance, which is one rotation of the Earth and the orbit of the Sun, and divided it up into segments, then given those segments labels. While it has its uses, we've been programmed to live our lives by this construct as if it were real. We have confused our shared construct with something that is tangible, and thus we have become its slave. So, fellow slavers, tonight, are we going to be a slave to time? Are you going to be punctual? I'll give you the report at the end. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ray. The Alchemist is still on my list, and I'd love to hear anything that's relevant to those types of topics. And next, we turn it over to our first evaluator, John White.
I have not written a book. If I were to write a book, the title is Old But Not Dead, Tales of a Resilient and Spunky Senior. Thank you. And I would write the book and I would buy the book. It's needed. Thank you, Harold, for your smile, David. Notice the age of those who smiled. Those who do not smile, you will eventually. Either that or cry. Moving on from my book, we are going on to our first speaker, is Michael Schaefer. He's working the effective coaching and he's writing a speech with purpose. He's looking to use he's wondering, he wants me to look at whether the use of dialogue is effective or extraneous. That's right, Harold, effective or extraneous. And was it funny enough? And those of you who have tried to be funny know we live for feedback. So please, all of you unmute, quiet those around you so that Michael might hear our laughter and our feedback and reaction to his speech. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. I'd like to introduce our first speaker. Michael H. Schaefer earned his DTM by forcing people to listen to him at Toastmasters meetings. And he's thrilled to be the newest member of Masters Evaluation and have found another fabulous captive audience. Now, the purpose of this project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. For the speech, did you have an awkward phase when you were a kid? Michael is hoping to outgrow his soon. I'd like to introduce Michael H. Schaefer. Delivery, Michael H. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you. So, I'm whining to myself. I'm so bored. I'm becoming a 12-year-old Howard Hughes. Not the aviation Howard Hughes, the saving his own urine hermit kind of Howard Hughes. I'm a bad early AI version of a boy. My hair looks like a herd of cattle thought my head was a popsicle, and I have a broken jack-o'-lantern front tooth. I'm spending my summer hiding from my crazy stepfamily, lying on my bed, listening to top 40 songs on a clock radio, with a giant pile of sunflower seeds on my chest. I'm shucking seeds and spitting the shells in the area of my trash can. And it's gotten so bad, my dad calls me, asks me to move in with him in San Francisco. Of course I want to move in with him. Divorced dad has been a blast. Kite flying and candle making. But when I move in, full-time dad thinks I need to get off my butt and find a hobby. He says, how about more dog training lessons? And I'm thinking, oh man, I did that already. He drags me to a horseback riding lesson, and I'm mumbling to myself, Dad, a horse is giant compared to a dog, and my saddle area hurts when I trot. So I get home from school one day, and he says, hey, son, I've got good news. I've got you a job. And he acts so excited that I get kind of excited. He says, you're going to be a paper boy. You're going to be making your own money. And that sounds kind of better than the going rate for my chores right now, which is nothing. So the next day, I meet my first boss. He's also my first gruff guy. And he drives his delivery truck with the doors open. He tosses 6 bales of newspapers on the sidewalk like they're sandbags tied to his retirement balloon. Hold on. He takes a delivery cart and drops it in front of me on the sidewalk. Bang! It's basically an old lady's laundry cart on steroids. He shoves a list of addresses and a handful of rubber bands at me, and he points up 23rd Avenue. I'm late, so you're late. Move it. Even his finger jabs are gruff. So I find the first house and slide a paper under the gate. Boom. I'm officially a paper boy. All I have to do is repeat that 100 times while I push 70 pounds of paper up a San Francisco hill. By the time I finish, I'm huffing and puffing like a bagpipe player. I'm tired, I'm sweaty, and I can't stop talking to myself. That hill is ridiculous. Does he think I'm a mountain goat? Why don't they start the route at the top of the hill? Hello? And the next day, my boss scowls at me. Schaefer, I had to deliver 4 houses you missed. 4 calls is a record. Don't let me down again. Let me down wasn't his actual words. His choice is, let's just say, pretty damn gruff. Eventually, you get better. You do it 1,000 times, your paper throws become sliders and curves, and collecting the money feels pretty excellent. But there's this one Sunday. Sunday's your only morning delivery before sunup. You're 12, so your sleep is weird anyway. It's dark, it's cold, it's wall-to-wall fog. And then you hear the patter of rain on your window. Oh, man. By the time you get to the pickup spot, it's coming down steady. You're wearing a bright yellow slicker with a hood. You look like a miniature Gorton's fisherman. Your toes are getting wet. You shuffle up the walkways, trying not to slip. The Sunday paper is thick. You have to carry it flat, like a 4-pound pizza box. It takes forever. You hear nothing but the sound of rain. Rain in your ears, and rain in your ears, in every single hole in your head. Your feet are soaked now. A Gorton's fisherman would have had deck boots, not me. You squelch up the street on a stubborn mission. Squelch, squelch, squelch. Just keep going. You think, I don't think I'm a masochist, but if I am, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. And you think that's funny, but not enough to laugh. See, you're not laughing either. Finally, you finish. On the walk home, the rain stops. The chill factor in your feet gets better. Maybe they've gone numb. And you look down Kirkham Street all the way to the Pacific. It's getting lighter. And in a weird way, you're happy. It's a new feeling. Maybe something like resilience. It's better than a pile of seeds on your chest or the $1.50 an hour you're making, and it's way better than a horse doing the trots. You're not a masochist, and luckily the rates have changed. but it still feels good to be the one who delivers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Next, I'd like to call upon our timer to put 90 seconds on the clock for speaker feedback. And while everyone is preparing their feedback, Michael, I noticed you were an author. I'd like to know what inspired you to write your book.
Boy, is this the perfect question. I actually got really into the third pillar of Toastmasters, which is evaluations. And a friend and I came up with a 36-point program to improve people's evaluations. And after we toured District 46 with it, I thought, well, there's only two things I need now. One is to publish this as a larger sort of resource for helping people. And two, to find a club called the Masters of Evaluation. So here I am.
Very neat concept. Thank you, Michael.
Time, Jessper.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. I am looking at the agenda and I realized I skipped a section. So let's go back to our educational moment with Shantae.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Jessper. I believe I have 4 minutes timer on the clock, so I will be quick. And I will just say that I have not written a book yet, but there is one in the works. So for our educational moment today, we wanted to talk about DCP goals, because DCP goals is something that I'm sure we've all heard, but maybe not everybody knows exactly what a DCP goal is, or what that means, or why it is important to the club. So I wanted to just go through quickly what DCP goals are, what they mean, how we get them, and why we continue to be President's Distinguished here at Masters of Evaluation. So DCP goals is how we capture in the educational and administrative and membership goals for each club. Each club within Toastmasters International is tasked with having 10 specific goals, and I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. We have 10 specific goals that we are tasked with, 6 goals of which are education, 2 are which fall under membership, 2 under training, and 2 under administration. Now, once we tackle these goals, and I'll kind of go over that in a second, depending on how many of the 10 goals that we achieve each year will determine whether or not we are President's Distinguished, Select Distinguished, or Distinguished as a club. So what does each goal entail? Well, for the educational goals, we have the first 6 goals, which are what goals we are completing within pathways. So for pathways, we all hopefully are pathways enrolled. For those who complete level 1s, level 2s, level 3s, 4s, and level 5s, the club will receive credit for that. So you may often hear our executive committee ask, or our VPE ask, hey, we need a level 1, we need a level 2. Well, what they're saying is once you've completed this level in any pathway program, will you assign that credit to Masters of Evaluations? So in order for the club to get credit, we need at least 3 level 1s, which means we need 4 people to complete level 1. We need level 2 awards. We need 2 people to complete level 2. We need 2 additional people to complete level 2. We need 3 people, 2 people to complete level 3. And you see, we've already had 3 to date. So we got that check right there. We need 1 person to complete a level 4, a level 5, or DTM project, and we get a check, and we already have that completed. And we need another person to complete a level 4, a level 5, or DTM project, and we already have 2 people that have done that, so we've received that check. Next, we have our membership requirements. So goals 7 and 8 are membership, which means we are tasked with adding 4 new members to our group. So we've already added 3 so far this year, so we are on our way. So you guys can see that on line 7. And then on line 8, we have we're tasked with getting 4 more new members. So essentially we want 8 total for the year, but they do break it up into segments to make it a little bit easier for us. Training our officers, we want to be trained. We've done that for the first round of training. We got credit for that. And then we'll have another round of training, which will be starting this month. We'll also get trained and receive a check for that. And then our 10th role is administration, which is basically paying our dues, making sure our membership dues are paid on time. If we get all 10 of these goals checked, we will be President's Distinguished. If we get 7 of those goals checked, we will be Select Distinguished. If we get 5 of those goals, we will be Distinguished. As of right now, we have 4 goals met, so we are well on our way. There are some pre-qualifying factors, which we will talk about another time because I see I'm at red. But thank you. We'll do a part 2 of Distinguished Goals and we'll go in a little deeper. So thank you so much for that. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Shantae, thank you for the educational moment. I'm glad we had the resilience to pick up what I missed. Now let's continue with the resilience to move forward. Next, we have our second evaluator, Judith Ferber.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Our second speaker is Marjorie Sheffield. Her speech is Understanding Your Communication Style. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify their primary style. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share the impact of their style on others. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Judith. Let's welcome our next speaker, Marjorie Duarte Sheffield, Unstoppable Women book. Unstoppable. Looks like it's working.
Okay. Let's see.
Perfect. I will go ahead and reintroduce you. Welcoming our speaker, Marjorie Duarte Sheffield, Unstoppable Women book. Unstoppable Women book, Marjorie Duarte Sheffield.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It is an honor today to stand in front of all of you in this momentous occasion, the release of our book, Mujeres Indetenibles, Abriendo Caminos con Pasos de Esperanza, Unstoppable Women, Paving the Way with Steps of Hope. This is not just a collection of words bound in pages, but it is a testament of strength, resilience, and resolute spirit of women who have paved the way for others, often facing great odds. First and foremost, I want to thank the 12 other co-authors with this book. These women, Belén Blanton, Ana Garcia Hill, Joana Linares, Noreli Lopez, Miriam Mavares, María Alejandra, Idaxu Montoya, Maru Quintero, Denise Rincon, Mayra Zulbarán, Nerlit Lopez, and Marjorie Duarte Sheffield, me. All of these women have contributed with a unique voice, perspective, and a story that collectively form a tapestry of inspiration and hope. All of these women have stories of resilience and courage, and have captivated the hearts of the people that have read the book so far. Those stories and contributions have shed light on the power of perseverance. All of them have experienced and generously have shared their stories. Those words have breathed life into the project and have made it a beacon of hope for countless readers. This book is not only a personal journey. It embodies a collective mission that uplifts, inspire, and empower women and others, men too, around the world. Each chapter not only enlightens individual triumphs, but also demonstrates the profound impact of solidarity and support within our community. These stories are pages that remind that while each path may be unique, the shared commitment to progress and change bind us together. To everyone that has been part of this journey, this is Leda Santo Domingo. She was our ghost writer, but not also the ghost writer, but she was a supportive person, and she encouraged us to bring out the stories that all of us have. It wasn't an easy task for her. We were 12 women that we have different perspectives and different stories, but there are threads that tie together each one of us. We didn't know each other. We started knowing each other when we decided to write this book. And this book is the life of immigrant women from Venezuela that came to this country, and we start living our life, paving the path for others, and achieving our goals. Now, as we celebrate this launch, we invite you to embark on this journey with us, Mujeres Indetenibles, and it is available for purchase through Amazon. There is the QR code. Right now, this book is only in Spanish, available in Spanish, but we are translating it into English. It's not, again, an easy task, but we can make it happen. And as soon as it's released in English, that we anticipate that it's going to be February 2025, I will let you know, because you are going to enjoy our successes and also our failures. But we are resilient women. We are women in the community that have achieved things that we have made ours. And we can demonstrate that we can do it. By purchasing and spreading the word about Mujeres Indetenibles, you are not only supporting our work, but contribute to a large movement of change and inspiration. This book is a call of action, a celebration of resilience, and a reminder that hope is powerful and capable of transforming lives. In closing, let me express again my deepest gratitude to my fellow co-workers and all of those who have supported us. Your contributions have made this book a reality. And together, we are opening new pathways with each step of hope that we take. Thank you all for being here today, for supporting our project, and for joining us in celebrating the release of Mujeres Indetenibles, Abriendo Caminos con Pasos de Esperanza. May these stories light the way for many, and may we continue to forge ahead with determination and hope. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. I'd like to call upon our timer to put 90 seconds on the clock for speaker feedback. And while everyone is preparing their feedback, I'd like to quickly hear from David and Judith. If there was a book you were to write, what would it be about?
The book that I was going to write and spend an enormous number of years, like 20 or so, I was going to write a book about European facial technique, which is what I do. And when I came to this country from Hungary, that's what I wanted to do. I spent an unbelievable time of researching and putting a whole manuscript together. And the manuscript came together, but I couldn't find anybody who would publish this. I eventually, years and years and years later, I found some person in New York who decided that she would take me on, and we worked on this, but it didn't work. I wasn't famous enough to publish the book eventually. I taught in school out of this material, and then last year I decided to get rid of the whole entire thing because I had enough. But that was my idea, but who knows? I also used to write short stories, which I just found in my apartment and for many years. So who knows? Maybe I'll put something together at some point. So that's my story. Thanks.
Who knows? Maybe there might be a story in the future from you.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guests, we are going to hear a legend, the legend of the computer bot. What are we going to hear? Well, I would also like you not just to listen to it, but like me to do some analysis of what is good, what could be better, and what are the best aspects of this speech that we're going to hear from the wonderful man, John Graham. He sent me a note about 10 minutes ago, or at least I picked it up across the ether about 10 minutes ago. And this is a first for him, very unusual because he's a man of great experience. But this, for the first time in his life, is going to be a spooky speech, just set right for Halloween. So listen out, brothers and sisters of whatever age you are. So not only will it be spooky, but also he's going to use some graphics. How dare he? And he is also going to try out, as he often does, to vary his voice and use some wonderful phrases. So listen out and look out for John Graham's spooky.
Thank you, David. Let's welcome our next speaker to the stage, John Graham, the legend of the bot monster. The legend of the bot monster, John Graham.
Well, first of all, let me tell you what my book would be called. That's a great lead up, David, but it would be The Walkabout. And I just thought about this as you were talking about it. I'd do something that would take people through 16 or 17,000 miles of walking about the United States and Canada when I first graduated from school. So that having been said, fellow Toastmasters, how many of you went to school at UCI? Anyone? But you all okay, all right. So you haven't been in the storm tunnels. This is a story that's partially based in reality for me. And so let me start by putting a little visual up here. So this is about the early days in the 1970s when the university was a newly minted canvas for Planet of the Apes. You all remember that movie? Climbing the walls had a literal meaning as an art form performed with university buildings. And this was a magical and resilient time when Mesa Court was new and Middle Earth had yet to be born. Let me take you on a journey, a tale that's been whispered among the adventurous souls who've dared to venture into those mysterious underground tunnels. It's a story about black-eye paintings, the legend of the bot monster, and a spine-tingling twist that involves spiders, bats, and an ominous stream of water. Imagine a dark and stormy night At UCI, beyond the engineering buildings, you walk Pelterson Road, west and off to the left. You come to a concrete opening. Rain pours down, creating a symphony of water droplets on the surface. Most students are safely tucked away in their dorms, oblivious to the eerie world that exists in the hidden storm tunnels below. As the legend goes, many years ago, a brilliant but reclusive art student spent countless hours creating intricate blacklight paintings on the walls of the storm tunnels. His work was nothing short of magical. The tunnels came to life with glowing, surreal landscapes that seemed to move and breathe in the dimly lit environment. The artistry was so mesmerizing that some believed it had the power to transport you to another world. One fateful night, a group of students decided to explore these secret underground passages. Armed with flashlights and their adventurous spirits, they navigated the labyrinth of tunnels. As they walked further into the darkness, the blacklight paintings came to glow more vividly, casting a spooky and enchanting atmosphere. The tunnel walls were adorned with shimmering spiderwebs. Above, bats adorned the ceilings, painted in such detail that their wings seemed ready to take flight, brushing against you. As they ventured further and deeper, they began to hear faint whispers and unearthly sounds, as if the tunnel itself was alive with secrets. A sense of foreboding filled the air, and a chill ran down their spines. They pushed on, unable to resist the allure of the art. As they reached the heart of the tunnels, the legend of the bot monster became all too real. Emerging from the shadows was a grotesque, mechanical creature, a hybrid of wires, steel, and neon paint. Its eyes gleamed with an unnatural red light, and its movements were eerie and mechanical, as if it was part of the very artwork that surrounded it. Terrified, the students turned to flee, but the bot monster lurched forward with surprising speed. It seemed intent on protecting the secret art gallery and its spectral creator. Desperation and fear fueled their escape. They navigated the labyrinth tunnels with newfound energy. But the bot monster was relentless. It pursued them tirelessly, its red eyes flashing like a malevolent beacon in the dark. And just then they stumbled on a stream of water, a dark and murky flow that whispered otherworldly secrets. The sound of it gurgling and echoing in the confining space was enough to make their hearts race. It seemed as if the water held the answers to the mysteries that surrounded them. Should they follow it? Yes, they decided. Following the stream and were about to emerge from the tunnels, they were met by a sight that sent shivers down their spines. Two lights, like distant stars, floated ominously in the night. They separated and came together, moving in an otherworldly dance. The students watched in dread as these spectral lights circled them, casting an eerie glow on their faces. Was it the spirits of the tunnels, the embodiment of the art, or something else? No one could say for sure, but one thing was certain. There were mysteries lurking in the depths of UCI that were best left undisturbed. Soaked and shaken, the legend of the bot monster would forever haunt their dreams and keep them from ever returning to these tunnels. So fellow Toastmasters, the next time you walk past UCI's engineering buildings and gaze at the unassuming student, remember the legend of the bot monster and the enigmatic lights that haunt those underground passages. And if your curiosity ever gets the best of you, be prepared for a spooky adventure that you may never forget. A journey that may lead you to face the unknown and the chilling dance of spectral lights in the night. Mr. Toastmaster, I have one other thing I might share, and that's that I used DALL-E to create kind of an AI image here of those tunnels and those black light paintings. So this is kind of just an experiment. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. I'd like to call upon our timer to put 90 seconds on the clock for speaker feedback. And I guess we'll have the spooky music in the background to inspire our thinking. And then I believe that's time, Mr. Timer. Is that correct? All right, thank you. And then David, if I wanted to give you a chance to share any stories that you might want to write, and you're still on mute. David, your microphone's still on mute.
Okay, I would love to write or remember some of the speeches that I've told to people or helped them to think about life. And I've only now reached level 4, but I look back at one speech and I remember that Sandra and Judith helped me with, and now finally I'm going to deliver it again to another club who will have no knowledge of what I'm going to speak about. And next week I must learn it thoroughly so that I won't need to look at my notes, because it is my own story of illness and recovery from it and my return to Toastmastering. So you've all helped me a lot to come alive again, and particularly Judith and especially Sandra.
Looking forward to hearing more. Thank you, David. And then I will turn it back over to our timer for the timer report.
Thank you, Jessper. Yes, we've done very well this evening. We're bang on time. We're on the money here. We are not slaves to the construct, I can confirm. We're ahead of the game. So the functionaries all performed their roles on time. We won't go through that. Michael, your speech was 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Shantae, your presentation was 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the red. Exactly. Judith, your introduction to the speaker was 30 seconds and your book presentation was 1 minute 30. Marjorie, you were 6 minutes and 35 seconds for your presentation. David, your introduction to the speaker was 1 minute and 54 and your book introduction was 1 minute 25. John Graham, you finished us off spookily with 7 minutes and 4 seconds. Back to you, Jessper.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Now, switching gears, let's move on to table topics and snap evaluations. Turning it over to Shantae, our table topics master.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are the most resilient Toastmaster, Jessper. So thank you so much. And I am excited to lead Table Topics today. As most of you know, Table Topics is one of my favorite parts of a Toastmasters meeting. And I'm equally as excited because here at Masters Evaluation, we do what is called snap evaluations. So for the benefit of our guest, Gail, you are our guest today. We do what's called snap evaluations. I know Sandra has put the description in the chat, but just as a reminder to everybody, we will do table topics, which are 1 to 2 minutes. standard table topics rules. And then after each individual table topics, I will call on somebody to give a snap evaluation on the table topic they've just heard. You have 30 seconds to give feedback on the speaker. And so let's get started so that we can give an example by somebody who is experienced and has done this before for our guests. And then we are an advanced club, so everybody's open for grabs. Of course, those who do not have speaking roles will be chosen first. Michael spoke today and gave us quite an inspiring speech. And he ended with the quote, "It feels good to be the one who delivers." I would love to hear about a time where you delivered and it felt really, really good. And I am going to ask Harold G.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics, and also Madam Table Topics and fellow Toastmasters. Try to remember the time I delivered. You know, right now I get the feeling I'm going to go into fictional history writing and go ahead and tell you there's a time I gave a speech. I felt so terrific. Man, I said I must have floored these people. But on the other hand, they had a blank, bored look in their eyes that said, hurry up and get it over with so we can go to the next person. Tell me a time when you did. Be dependable with yourself. Have a plan, follow it, get focused, and do what you must do. Take command of the day and follow your plan. When I don't do that, I have other dreams of something even bigger. I like to think big, but I end up doing very small. You might say microscopic small, but something gets moved. And so delivering, let's look at it this way. In my mind, I may have delivered. In your mind, you may say, what were you thinking about? I mean, were you aiming at the target? No. As I say, we have different concepts of time, different ideas of ourselves, and different ideas of the world. So, yes, I feel I've delivered most of the time. Now, you may decide, oh, goodness, he needs therapy. I mean, does he realize he has not delivered? Anyway, I feel I have delivered, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Harold. You are quite resilient. May we have a snap evaluation by Pamela?
I knew I could feel that. Thank you, Shantae. Harold, how wonderful. What a great speech on the cuff. You have such an incredible energy. It just shows through. It makes you smile. And I love how you started with, you pulled back, you threw back Michael's, have you delivered? When's the last time? You set it up so well. You structured that, even though it was a table topic, it was so well structured from the beginning. And then you had the body and then you threw it back with, I think, I've delivered. It was very resilient of you to talk about. I think we can all identify with, am I just crazy? You're going to call me crazy? Or am I a spiritual man and human being who takes care of myself and walks through what I need to do? I think we all could feel that. So thank you for just doing such a great job of bringing your sunshine and visuals and taking us there and really wrapping it up in a bow for delivery. So I deliver that right back to you, Miss Shantae.
Thank you. Thank you for that amazing evaluation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we do table topics and snap evaluations. Next up, John Graham took us on a journey, a spooky journey, but he did take us on a journey nonetheless. I would love you to take us on a 1 to 2 minute journey of a time when you showed resilience. And I'm going to ask Mary Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Time where I showed resilience. And I will go back a number of years when I was in another district in addition to District 1. I was in 52 for a while, and I was the conference chair for our district. And I showed resistance because I put my heart and soul into formulating a plan, delegating responsibility of different parts of the district conference, and also following through with getting people on board who not normally felt inclined to work to do the various parts of the conference which were necessary. So it took a lot of energy and also resilience to keep people on track and meet the deadlines necessary. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. And can we please have our snap evaluation by Tamara?
It was an uneasy question, I would say, to comment on without any preparation. But Mary managed immediately to find out an example from her own life and share it with us and give a detailed analysis what exactly she did and why she showed resilience. I would recommend maybe next time you could add a little more, sharing your feelings, what exactly you felt doing this or that responsibility, though it was resilient, but how did you feel afterwards and during the process? Thank you very much. It was very well done. Back to you. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tamara. Marjorie gave us a great presentation on her book, which was compiled of stories by women who showed great resilience and empowered people across the globe. If you could write an anthology and empower people across the world, name 3 people that you would include in your anthology and why? And I'm going to ask Pat.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master, and hello, everybody. Good to be here after a while. You know what? I've been thinking, a number of people have encouraged me to put down on paper things that I talk about and have been talking about for the last 17 years, living with multiple sclerosis, and developing resilience, a lot of resilience during that period. So I've started to get the material together for that, to go through all the notebooks that I have of comments and quotes that I've kept, to go through the 7 or 8 lever arch files of research on speeches, on 120 speeches or so I've made in the last 6 years, and go through the Evernote bank of the articles and stuff that I've put together. And it'll take me a year or two to do this, but I'm not sure what 3 people I would put into this, but I will talk about stories, if I can remember them, of people that have told me about difficulties that have been in. I'll talk about things that I've learned. I'll talk about the things that I've tried to share with people on how you become resilient, on the talk on resilience that you'll find on, if you look at Pat Caslin Aware, this is a depression charity in Ireland that sent a TV crew to my house and recorded an interview that I thought this is pretty bland, but when they edited it, they turned it into what I think is something fantastic. I'll put a link to it in the chat, and that's all about resilience, and it's a series of talks on resilience that is on this website. So I will put together my thoughts on the things that I've learned and the things that I found valuable to me in building resilience, and they are adversity, they are going towards your issues. Robert Frost said the only way out is through, and I believe that. So if you run away from things, they'll chase you forever. But in the ways that I developed resilience, I want to share some of those things. And it might take me a long time to do it, and probably nobody will ever publish it, but I don't care, because I'll have put together the anthology of my own thoughts and hope that that will be of value to somebody. Madam Topics Master.
That is great. Thank you so much for sharing, Pat. And I would love to hear an evaluation by Sheila.
Thank you. I appreciate being asked about what Pat did with his question on 3 people in his anthology. Now, what he did is he swung it away. He told a personal story about many, many people, and he focused on the word of the day, resilience. I have one suggestion for Pat. He could have ended it dynamically by saying, what have you learned about resilience? Think about that and end it that way, in a creative way, because he's a creative guy. I can tell he can think on his feet. He's very resilient, and we are up to the 20th time, I hope, because I'm not going to use the word again. So thank you, Pat, for your creative answer. Your personal story pops every time. We all want to hear a personal story, and you swung it in a different direction by using the word of the day. Kudos to you. And I want everybody to think about what they would do to be more resilient.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. And I believe I have time for one more. If you could show resilience and write a book of your life, what would the title be and why? And I'm going to ask Gail.
Thank you so much for that interesting question. I cannot tell you the title in mixed company. It pops in print. Actually, the title would probably be stolen from Robert Frost, The Road Less Traveled. It is from a perspective that I look back now and say, wow, if I had only known a fraction of what I know now then, maybe the potholes wouldn't have seemed so big. Maybe the dramas wouldn't have seemed so overwhelming. And maybe I would have been able to verbalize what I needed. Growing up was very interesting, and it was I'm just the end of the baby boomers, so there was the whole 50s thing of the kids should be seen and not heard, in contrast to the movement of the 60s. And it took a different toll and sparked a different creativity in each one of the 4 kids in my family. We've all made it this far, which I think is extraordinary. No one has lost a limb. No one has gotten a divorce. They're all still married. And the kids are now having kids, which is unbelievably exciting. And now I have the opportunity to help the kids get over all the issues that their parents gave them. Those kids, I got to tell you, I felt my brothers and sister were resilient. These kids are even more resilient, and they do it with love and humor. Boy, if I only knew that back then. Madam Table Topics Master.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Trudy, could you please give us a snap evaluation?
Wonderful. This is a very interesting topic. What would you do in showing resilience for yourself? If you had to write a book about that. I don't know if I would write a book about that, but maybe a storyteller in expressing some of the things that she has talked about. She went out into the world mainly, saw drama and potholes before her, and really didn't know what she would do. Encounter baby boomers now, and these baby boomers seeing kids having kids, and they got rid of their experiences from when they were being brought up. I didn't experience any of that, I would say, because there was no time to go through all these passages. So I went through a different track. And basically, looking back, coming here, I realized there is so much more to life than what I have encountered in all the different passages that I have been through. So it was quite interesting to listen to her story, and how would I craft this to be my own in being resilient, coming to Canada and learning what I've learned today. I learned to survive, basically. And how I learned to survive is meeting the people and learning from the people and how to direct my life in a different way. So I became resilient in so many different ways from people. And I believe this is what Gail also learned in a different manner. We came from different avenues, but we are together. So we are resilient together. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you for that most resilient answer. And thank you all for sharing your stories and your thoughts and your experiences. And I now will turn control back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Jessper.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. As I heard everyone's table topics, I heard such great stories of resilience. And our Table Topics Master did such a great job of bringing up and highlighting those stories of resilience. So thank you, Shante. I would like to turn it over back to our timer for the timer's report for table topics.
Thanks, Jessper. Have the ghosts of Halloween been chasing us, or are we bang on time? Oh, yes, we are on time. Table topics. Harold G, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Pamela, your response, 1 minute and 9 seconds. Mary, 1 minute and 34. Tamara, your response, 54 seconds. Pat Caslin, 2 minutes and 16. And Sheila, your response was 1 minute bang on. Gail, you were 1 minute 33. And Trudy, your response was 1:43. Back to you, Jessper.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Moving on, this is the part of the meeting where we get the opportunity to hear from our evaluators. So let's turn it over to our general evaluator, Rosie.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So we have 3 evaluators today for our 3 amazing speakers. Let's start with our first evaluator, John White.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. My pleasure to evaluate Michael Schaefer. Wow, humor, metaphor, similes. And Michael, I must say, I got a lot of chat responses from the ladies in the club. They said, handsome, smart glasses, intelligent man. Is he single? Please indicate that in the chat if you could. Great opening. And it was a very funny speech. I must say it started out with a lot of laughter and it was still always entertaining, but not as funny at the end. I mean, how can you compete with the Howard Hughes, not the aviator, but the one who's collecting urine? I mean, it's just downhill from there. Alliteration, shucking seeds and spitting them, and the phrases, my goodness, sandbags tied to his retirement, laundry cart on steroids, huffing and puffing like a bagpipe, climbing the hills like I'm a mountain goat, rain in my ear, and then, of course, squelch, 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 squelch. And then finally, I'm a masochist, but not enough to laugh about it. What rich language. And there was a lesson at the end. I just loved it, that it was a new, you were happy. It was a new feeling. It was a life lesson. I think maybe I would have expanded upon that. I also was transported because I too was a paper boy, and it was a formative moment in my life. It was a lesson that you could lean on about resiliency, about doing something other than shucking seeds, about having some responsibility. As far as the areas that I would improve on, I thought every now and then you reference your notes just a little bit. I thought that the boss's dialogue was great, but like when I do dialogues, the accent seemed to change and you weren't as committed to it. The other thing I want to say, there's so much great material. I'm not saying it was boastful or showy or like a guy who's got a new word and he wants to show it off. It wasn't that, but it was so dense with beautiful language. Slow down, please, or lighten up some of the content. It was so rich, I wanted to add water. It was like a cup of tea that was a little too sweet. Please allow us to process it. It was just something a bit much for me, but it was really funny. It was really entertaining. I was reflecting on the fact I'm really glad that you're a member of the club, and perhaps by slowing down some of it, you'll end with as much humor as you started with. But it was really, I love when a story can be funny, informative, and have a lesson. I perhaps would have driven that lesson home a little more at that, not beat us over the head. But I think pace is the only thing that I would have done, and a little work on your accent. Fabulous speech. I can't wait to hear about your story of working as a fast food cook, which of course I did. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, John. Let's move on to the next evaluator, Judith.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam GE and fellow Toastmasters. And Marjorie. So you were part of putting a book together, Unstoppable Women books, you call them. And you have given absolutely a phenomenal promotion for your book. It's wonderful to see all these women, and we found at the end that the immigrants from Venezuela and all these. I happen to love short stories by women. I have read Latin American short stories, so it's really a wonderful idea. And you shared us the hope and change and what is it, the detail, I mean, some of these, the power of perseverance and what you felt about each of the stories of inspiration and promise of change and call to action, hope, and all these different things. Now, the thing, what I would have liked to know more than anything else is to know about at least a few sentences about one of each authors, or at least some of them. You had time for this. We all know that women face multiple challenges all the time, and some of the stories that women write about, at least in my experience, is some of the challenges they face in their country, whether it's work-related, racial, children, whatever they are, and there are just multitude of them. So I know that you said that some of these authors come from Venezuela. Where are you? I think you're in Argentina or somewhere. Where did they come from? Venezuela to what country? Where are we? That would have been a good thing to know. I don't know. And mainly, and I hope you're doing this again, because I really would like to know at least some of this. I mean, you could have many of these authors. You could have had the longer speech to see at least two sentences. What are these women writing about? What's the main topic of their story, their stories, and what it is that we would like to know about them? And I think that would have been really the main part for me for your speech. So thank you for doing it. I hope this it will be translated and I hope be successful. I think it's a fabulous idea, and it's always a great idea to have women authors put their stories together. So next time, tell us a little bit more details about that. Thank you. Back to you, Madam GE.
Thank you, Judith. Let's move on to the next and the last evaluator, David.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially John. So this is my impressions, but it's really for you to think about as well. I felt that quite good were his use of language. Almost every phrase there was a beautiful word or a beautiful series of words. So we've heard you before, John, and we know you're a master of language. So it was well flowing there in time there. I think a few things that could be better would have been perhaps the setup early on when you were describing this tunnel, and I would have repeated the title just to make it, even for the adults, sound wonderfully exciting. Through the tunnel of the legendary you know the title better than me. Just so that everyone in the family sitting round the fire or out in the street together, tricking and treating, or whatever way you spend your Halloween. And I think you need to even up a little bit of the introduction in terms of the setup of the university. Now, not all of us have been to a university in the USA. We don't know how significant this building is. So I think we'd have used words like this huge, proud building. And what were the poor students going to do that would be so different from their past students? There they were, the cleverest people in the world. Just imagine they were faced with this tunnel. Would they dare step out and go through it in any way? So a mixture of the powerful language, the evening, rather than sort of dwelling on the details of the university, blah, 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 UCL, blah. That I think was the only really thing. Did you notice at first it was very difficult for him to set up the equipment? But what I realized he was quickly doing was he knew what he was doing so well. And he certainly had my attention because he was looking up, he was looking around. Perhaps you noticed his eyes coming round at many of us. So that was a great thing. Perhaps just try to do that right from the very beginning so we wouldn't have noticed you switching off and switching on the various pieces of equipment that you were doing. But worth practicing a bit more when you tell these kind of stories in the future. But a great start for a storyteller using lots of ghostly equipment. The great strengths. Did you notice that he used that classic center of a great story? Let me take you on an adventure. Oh, I felt like a child listening to an adventure that was going to happen, and perhaps would happen to me one day when I was a big boy or even a man. And yes, what was it? Imagine the symphony of water, and I began to feel the water crashing around me as I crept up this tunnel. And so much generated excitement through his words. We know the gestures, which I think he was stretching further and more subtly with his eyes. and wonderful work with the equipment that he was using. So this would be a winning speech and not just an entertaining speech for us. So John, you've definitely succeeded in every way that you wanted with this. Just a little more practice and this would be a real championship winner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Let's move on to Vicky. Can you please report to us how the word of the day, grammarian, and our counter?
Yes, I can, Madam GE. You know, we use the word of the day over 30 times, but the winner is Pat Caslin, who had 8 uses, with Shantae chasing him like a bus down the street at 5. Great job, everyone. Resilience is not just an idea, but it's a frame of mind, and you all had a great frame of mind about using the word. Muriel would be proud of us to use it so many times. There are not a lot of verbal clutches in this club. Not a lot of ahs, not a lot of so's, not a lot of ums. Great use of words. I think that's been described by all of the other evaluators, so I don't want to add any more to that. The only thing I would say was there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that did not use the word of the day. So here is a challenge. When you are super present with your speech and you have to add something, that is a great way to test yourself. How do I add the word resilience? So what I usually do is I print out the agenda and then I write the word of the day somewhere on the agenda so that I use it in whatever capacity I have. Other than that, excellent job, everyone. Back to you, Madam GE.
Thank you, Vicky. Well, I saved for the last evaluation to use the word resilience because I see that we have a lot of lessons about resilience today and I love it. We have 3 great speakers. I love your speech, Michael. It's just amazing when you do not have to use like stand up, do a lot of body language, but you still can demonstrate so well your story. I love your speech, John, when you use take advantage of the sound and then also the Zoom background to make your story like scary. And you know what? In that speech, I love the support from our timer, Ray. He keeps sending the emojis of of Halloween's and then make it seems to be like the teamwork over here, not just one person make the speech, but also Ray provides some support with emojis as well. So it's a great teamwork. And I also want to congrats Mary about the book. It's amazing about all great women and all the successful stories. Thank you for sharing with us about this book. And overall, we having an amazing meeting and I'm so excited to learn so much from every single person in this meeting. Thank you for all resilience moment from this meeting today. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Let's talk about resilience. And today was such a unique example of resilience. At today's meeting, we did have some tech issues, but we did have the resilience to pick ourselves back up. At today's meeting, we had to move some things around, but we did have the resilience to pick ourselves back up. And today we heard many stories of resilience, and that's given us the resilience to pick ourselves back up. And overall, those stories have been excellent tie-in to storytelling and today's theme, National Authors Day. I absolutely enjoyed hearing the inspiration from our authors and the inspiration that will motivate our aspiring authors. It's been an honor serving as today's Toastmaster, and I will turn it over to our club president, Sandra Savage.
Thank you, Jessper. Before we get to filling up our agenda, which we are great at, thank you, Vicki, I want to ask our guest and our returning members and friends one question. Instead of asking for a compliment, what did you think of today's meeting? I like to ask the question, what did you learn today? Gail.
I learned that I need to be more awake when I get on Zoom. So there. Actually, what I learned is it's very easy to get distracted in a Toastmasters meeting with as many resilient, dynamic people here throwing out ideas right and left. And listening is a skill that I always work to hone. Listening serves me better than any other skill. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Mary Pryor, where are you? Still here? Yes.
Yes, I am here.
What
and
did you learn today?
And I have learned how to really be resilient. I lost connection on 2 different times during the course of this meeting, and I need to be more prepared in zooming on to the meetings in a way that I will not have technical problems in the future.
Wonderful. Let us all know how we can do that ourselves. We've all had our little flubs once in a while with Zoom, but we've really come a long way in a short amount of years. Next, I'd like to ask Mr. Pat, what did you learn today?
Well, you're not going to like me for this. I learned and reinforced that I don't like snap evaluations. I don't know that they add an enormous amount. I think topics should be just something that you do, and the snap evaluations are, to me, not enough to be really insightful and searching. And I know this is an evaluation club, but I just don't like them. I thank Sheila for her evaluation and her comment. I thought it was good, but generally, I'm just not a fan. So that kind of reinforced that for me. Thank you for asking me the table topic, though. I always like to answer table topics. I think they're fun.
Well, thank you for joining us again today. We've missed you, and we've
Great to be here.
A lot. Did you learn anything? I feel like romper stopper, romper do. Tell me, do. And that's only for us old people that know that. Pamela, what did you learn today?
I remember the romper room. I love the honesty from Pat. Really, that was great. Just really, it's like I can't get through, but I got to tell you the honesty. I learned and was reminded of something that's very important for me personally right now, and that's the idea of the author and how supportive everyone is in this group. And personally, like I threw in that I wrote my first draft, turned it into a play, and the support that, and the comments meant a lot, because I've been going through a period of being like, well, that's not we don't write for making money, or why are we spending time doing something that might not move us forward? And it's just a reminder that that's not really why we write, and it's okay to just write because it's calling you, and that we should follow our hearts. And it was a good moment to just reiterate that you guys were really in the zone. I can't tell you how much, because I've been thinking how I got to go look at my show. And so I really appreciate it, as this positivity. I always come here. I always get a boost of exactly what I need to help me on my mission. So I'm really happy to be back here. Thank you, Sandra, for that great question.
Well, we're running a little late. If you have to drop off, that's fine. The rest of us who have a few extra minutes, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Victoria to fill up the agenda for our next meeting, which will be on the
15th of November.
Thank you. I was just writing to Gail, our guest. This is one of the things I love about this club, the eagerness of participation. So many other people kind of like hide their hands and sit on them when it comes time to volunteering for a role. This club is active. We're doing great. We do need to ask you for, if you have any upcoming paths to complete, let us know so that we can get everything lined up so that we can be, what's the new one this year? Is Shantae still here, or John? What's the new, isn't there another role, distinguished level? A Smedley?
Medley.
The Smedley is not new. I think it's been around.
No, Smedley's for clubs now. It used to be
Oh, the Smedley for
Medley
club.
for adding members. So it's brought to the club level.
I to get the Smedley Award the first year it is given out to clubs. So I think we're on a good trajectory for that. We've got a lot of resilience and hard workers. And Michael, so creative. John, entertaining. It was a great speech tonight. And Marjorie, good luck with your book. I've been hoping you've been doing well. So this was a fabulous meeting. I think at that we should just say goodbye and smile.